I'm back with another creepy TikTok user tale. This one comes to us from an EMT. He does not want you to know who he is, so we're just gonna call him John. He told me that he is no longer an EMT, but he still has a professional career and does not want this associated with him. That's cool. John told me this happened probably 10 years ago, and he was like fresh out of EMT training. He said at the time he was an EMTB and he was working medical transport just to earn some extra money while he was in college. He told me he had just started and he was the low man on the totem pole. He told me this particular day he gets into work and his boss tells him like, this is what you're gonna be doing today. There's actually going to be 2 of you in the back of the truck as opposed to just you and the driver. So there'll be a total of 3 of you because this patient is a psych patient and can be combative at times. John told me he's the type of person, he doesn't ask questions, he's just there to do his job and go home. So he says, no big deal, whatever. So John said the first thing that was weird about it was the fact that there were gonna be 2 people in the back of the truck. He says that he doesn't know if it's like that everywhere, if there's normally 2 people, but where he was working at the time at this medical transport company, it would be 1 person in the back and 1 person driving. John says that he sits down and he starts to look at the paperwork of where they'll be transporting from and to. And he said that was another thing that was weird because they were going to transport this patient from this big, like one of the best hospitals in the area, hours away to this smaller hospital that was Catholic. He said that normally medical transports would be the other way around. But he says, once again, I don't ask questions. I'm just here to do my job and go home. So he says they get to the hospital to pick the patient up. They walk into the hospital and they walk into the room and there's like a slew of nurses and doctors around this patient. As they're stepping out of the way, he's expecting to see like some gigantic, jacked, like bodybuilder guy. And he says like as they part and he gets a view of who the patient is, it's this tiny little, like he said, maybe 20-year-old girl. And he says that actually when he sees her, he's thinking, oh, all right, this should be fine. Then he told me that as he's walking up to her and he's getting closer to her, he's noticing that something is off about her eyes. It's like the lights are on, but nobody's home. She's not reacting to anyone around her, not partaking in any conversations around her. She's not combative. She's just nothing. Once again, he said, that seems weird, but okay. But then he said he's looking around the room at all the nurses and the doctors that are in there, and he's thinking this is a lot of nurses and doctors for one girl who's not even reacting to anything. But he starts to look closer and he realized that they all just look drained. They just look like they had just been through it. But he attributes that to he's been to many hospitals, they're overworked, they're underpaid, and they're all exhausted. But he said it was just a different level of defeat that was on their faces. John told me that the other EMT that he's working with that day walks over and begins to wheel this patient out. And he says that he's following behind him and the certain nurse grabs onto his arm. He told me that he turns to look at her and she just looks like she has seen a ghost and she is telling him, be careful. Just be careful with her, please. Like, I'm gonna pray for you. He said that that really freaked him out. And he's trying to figure out what the heck is going on here. But once again, John says, I'm not here to ask questions. I'm just here to do my job. So whatever. Honestly, John, good for you, because at that point I'd be like, I've got questions. I've got a lot of questions. But he says that they get her out, they get her into the truck, and they start on their journey. He says that he's sitting in the back with this girl, and for 2.5 hours, she doesn't move. She does nothing. She doesn't react to anything around her. 2.5 hours in, she snaps her head towards John. And he said this actually scares him. He jumps. He's like, whoa, what the heckerdoodle? But she snaps her head towards him and asks him, where are you taking me? John told me he thumbs through his paperwork, looks up the name of the Catholic hospital that they're taking it to, speaks it to her, and he says that in this moment, right after it comes out of his mouth, she just starts hysterically laughing. He says at first, the laugh that's coming out of her sounds like it belongs to her, but as this laugh goes on, it becomes louder, it becomes deeper, it becomes more like a growl. And the entire time that she is doing this hysterical, terrifying laugh, she's just staring at him. And the laugh is just going on for an uncomfortable amount of time to the point where he's looking at the other EMT in the back with him who's been there for longer than he has, like trying to like calm himself down. And the other EMT is like, he's like, just don't even worry about it. So after that, John's thinking, okay, psych patient, this is normal. This is just a thing. So John basically refuses to react and refuses to engage. Once this girl realizes that he is not going to engage with her, she starts talking to him. She starts asking him questions of, do you know why you're transporting me? Do you know what's wrong with me? Not like asking him like, can you help me? Like asking him like, I know what's wrong with me. Do you know what's wrong with me? This whole time, John says that he just keeps it very professional and he's just like, no ma'am, no ma'am. He said that once this girl realizes that she is not going to get a rise out of him, she just kind of stops. Finally, they arrive at this Catholic hospital and John is like, thank goodness, like I am so done with this. This has been such a weird experience. Well, John has to take her in and get her upstairs. He said that she is perfectly fine and perfectly calm until they walk into the doors of this Catholic hospital. The instant that they walk in the doors, he says that she just starts screaming. And it's not like I'm an afraid scream. It's like a vengeful scream, like a challenging scream, like I dare you scream. And he says that no one in this hospital even reacts. Just like whatever. They get to the elevator where he's gonna have to take her upstairs. It's him and the other EMT. He pushes the button. She stops hysterically screaming. And as they're waiting on the elevator, she snaps her head, turns to John again. And she says to him They can't help her. She's ours now. And he said that the voice that was coming out of her was not her voice. Once again, John is just thinking, psych patient, this is just the way that it's fine. Everything is good. He rolls her onto the elevator once the doors open. They're standing inside the elevator, him, the other EMT, and this girl. The doors close. This whole time, this girl is still staring at John. He said that after those doors close on that elevator, she looks at him and says something that he will never forget because of what happens next. He says that this girl looks at him and says, "Do you believe in God?" John told me he's a very strong Christian man, and he looked right at her and he said, "Yes, I do." And then he said that this girl got this evil look on her face and said, "Then you believe in me too." John said that the instant that she says that, the elevator starts to shake. The lights inside the elevator are flickering on, flickering off, flickering on, flickering off, and she is just hysterically laughing. John said in that instant he didn't know what else to do, and he just started to pray. This girl is still hysterically laughing in this elevator. It's shaking, lights are going on, lights are going off. John says that during this prayer, at the end of the prayer, he says, "In Jesus' name, amen." He said that the instant that he says that in his mind, not out loud, but the instant that he says that in his mind, everything goes back to normal. The elevator lights go back to normal. The elevator stops shaking. The doors open and they're on the floor that they need to be on. John says that he basically pushes this girl off the elevator and he's like, "Here you go. Good luck. Have a great day, everybody. Good luck with that. Good luck with that. I will see you later." He does not stay to figure out what happens. He does not stay to figure out what they're doing. He doesn't know. He's out of there and he just wants to get home. As they're riding the elevator back down, he asks the other EMT, "Did that just happen?" And the other EMT says, "It did. That did just happen." So it was not something that happened in his imagination. The other EMT also experienced it. John said that after this is when he shortly left that field and went on to pursue a different career. But he did say that he went home that night and he was putting all the pieces together of everything that had happened that day and everything that had gone on, from the two of them in the back of the truck, to the nurse saying that they'll pray for him, to her hysterical laughing that didn't sound like hers, the things that she said before they got on the elevator, what happened in the elevator. And John says that he thinks that day what he saw and what he was dealing with was a possession. After John encountered this and saw this, he said that at the time, he was a man of God, he believed in God. But after this happened, he became even stronger in his faith and just reached out to God to protect him from whatever he had experienced that day. He said that he has never experienced anything since. He did not experience any attachment from that. He didn't experience anything. But whoa, I literally can't even imagine. Anyway, John, thank you so much for that story. That was a wild ride. Thank you guys so much for listening. I hope that everyone has a wonderful day. If you have a story that you'd like to send me, there's an email in my bio, or you're welcome to send me a DM. I haven't been on here in a few days because the weather has been so beautiful outside that I've just been outside just touching grass and stuff. I haven't put makeup on or anything. It's been absolutely glorious. Thank you so much for being here, and I hope that everyone has a wonderful day. I'm gonna go pray now. You go do whatever you do. I love that for you. I love that for me. And I will catch you on the next one.